Imagine going in for a routine brain scan and discovering that 90% of your brain is missing. Not damaged, not diseased, missing. That's exactly what happened to a 44-year-old man in France. His skull, almost entirely filled with fluid. Just 10% of his brain tissue left, compressed into the edges of his cranium. And yet he's alive. He's married. He has 2 kids. And he goes to work like anyone else. Scientists? Stunned. Neuroscience? Challenged. And the rest of us? Left asking the question, how much of our brain do we really need? It started like any ordinary hospital visit. The man, 44 years old, showed up complaining of a mild leg weakness. Nothing serious. Doctors ordered an MRI, just to be safe. But what they saw? Unthinkable. His entire brain cavity was filled with cerebrospinal fluid. The brain matter that should have taken up space wasn't there. Instead, what remained was just a thin sliver of compressed brain tissue, pushed to the sides of his skull. To be clear, this man wasn't brain dead. He wasn't in a coma. He walked in, talked normally, even joked with the nurses. The scan said he was missing most of his brain. But the man, he said he felt fine. Initially, doctors thought the brain had eroded, eaten away by disease. But that wasn't the case. It turns out he had a condition called hydrocephalus, a rare disorder where fluid builds up inside the brain, putting pressure on the tissue. He had been treated for it as a child, with a shunt to drain the fluid. That shunt was removed when he was 14. Over the next 30 years, fluid quietly accumulated again, squeezing his brain slowly against the edges of his skull. You'd think that would leave him permanently disabled. But here's the twist. He's married. He has 2 children. He holds down a government job. And the only major symptom? A slightly below average IQ of 75. This case left neurologists completely baffled. How can a man function with only 10% of his brain tissue intact? Some scientists believe this man's brain simply reorganized itself over time, a concept known as neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt, reroute, and rewire. But even plasticity has limits, right? That's where cognitive scientist Axel Clearmans comes in. He believes this case isn't an anomaly. It's evidence of something much deeper. He calls it the radical plasticity thesis. According to Clearmans, consciousness isn't fixed to one part of the brain. It's not a switch you flip. It's something the brain learns to do, and different parts of the brain can pick up the slack if others are missing. For decades, we've been told certain parts of the brain control specific functions. The frontal lobe is for decision-making, the hippocampus for memory, the amygdala for emotion. But this case shatters that map. If a man can live with 90% of his brain compressed, what does that say about our understanding of consciousness itself? Are we just scratching the surface? Clearman says this man's brain learned to be conscious using only the tissue it had left. It's like losing 90% of a city and still managing to run the power, water, and traffic lights with just a handful of working blocks. This isn't just a wild medical mystery. It's hope for stroke victims, brain injury survivors, and anyone battling neurological decline. Because if a human brain can adapt to missing 90% of itself, then maybe we can recover from more than we thought. We can train new parts of our brain to take over. And we've barely tapped into our full potential. This case didn't just blow the minds of scientists. It redefined what we think it means to have a mind at all. What if the limits we place on our brains are just that, limits, not laws, not facts, just assumptions waiting to be shattered? This man with 10% of a brain just changed neuroscience forever. What do you think? Is consciousness more flexible than we ever imagined? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the bell for more mind-blowing science stories.